Hey guys, it's me, Javier. Today is the first time I'm going to bring an actual listener on the show. Today's guest is Kate, who is a Patreon supporter, which, as many of you know, Patreon is how a lot of indie shows stay alive. And I am so grateful for all my Patreon supporters that I wanted to bring one on the show to kind of talk about a story with me. I figured why do I get to have all the fun, right? So here's Kate. She's over on this side. I'll never get used to the whole mirror image thing.
Yeah.
Hey Kate, thank you so much, first of all, for being a listener and for being a Patreon supporter. You have no idea how much that means to me. How did you discover Pretend?
I discovered you through your other podcast, Criminal Conduct.
Oh, get out of here. That's so funny. Yeah, because
and the stories you tell, and actually, since it's an audio thing, your voice was just intriguing.
So tell me, a lot of people write to me and they're like, oh, when they see me, they're like, I thought you were going to be a short, chubby guy. Is this what you were expecting?
I thought you were a little older, actually.
Yeah, well, I'm actually pretty old, so don't worry.
Everybody's younger on Zoom than I expected.
That's right. It's the ring light. The ring light does wonders. It takes years off of you. So here's the way this works. This is the first time I have a Patreon supporter on the show as a co-host, and Kate was lovely enough to be my guinea pig. And so, Kate, I was telling you offline when we were emailing back and forth that there's a lot of stories that don't make it on Pretend. A lot of stories. It's amazing how many con artists I actually get on the show, but you would be surprised by the list of people that say no, or the people that I just can't get a hold of. And I work these stories and I work these stories and I try and I try and I try, and they never work out. So this is what this segment is going to be all about, where my Patreon co-hosts come and we get to talk about the stories that didn't make it on the show. Okay. All right. So what are we going to talk about today, Kate? Because I shared this article with you.
Yes, we're going to talk about someone who pretended to be a prosecutor.
That's right.
It's kind of like that commercial. I'm not a doctor, but I play one on TV. This is not a prosecutor, but played one in real life.
So I have to read the headline to you because it says the whole story because it's great. A New Hampshire woman charged with impersonating a prosecutor drops her own case. So this is a woman who is a criminal and was savvy enough to pretend that she was the prosecutor to get herself out of jail. And we're going to talk about how maybe that didn't work out for her. But hey, you know what? At least she tried, right?
That's what we tell our kids. Trying is something, but yeah.
That's right. That's right. So Kate, you were telling me that you actually heard about this story before it. I
do. I vaguely remember reading it because I thought, oh wow, she is that brave to even. Or first of all, you have a little bit of legal knowledge to file those things, but you're actually going to try it.
Okay, Kate, how would you file charges or drop charges against you?
Drop charges. Actually,
like what do you?
I don't even know, but that little bit of article said she actually did it through the court systems. Sounded like their own computer system, which is scary in and of itself, that she could get that far. I don't know.
I'm not going to give up on the story. I do want to find this lady. And her name is Lisa Landon. Oh, sorry. I was supposed to hit present. So this is her. It'll pop up in a second. It didn't. Anyways, her name is Lisa Landon, and she's 33 last year, so she must be 34 now. And she was savvy enough, like you said, to actually go into the court system and actually drop her own charges. And so what was she charged with? Like what was her crime? And her crime, according to this article, was she was facing charges of stalking and possession of methamphetamine. So, I mean, pretty serious.
Kind of serious.
Charge. And I really want to show you this picture again. I don't know why it wasn't showing. Let me try it again because you got to see this lady. She's great and everything, but she doesn't strike me as like somebody who passed the LSAT. You know what I mean?
I'm a librarian, and we're told don't judge a book by its cover, but we do. And yeah, she doesn't look like a prosecutor. Just the professionalism.
She sounds one. She sounds
like one, and she acted like it. She faked it till she made it.
So, all right, let's read what it says here. Yeah, it's crazy because, you know, she obviously did not get away with this, but she filed as a prosecutor 3 cases and dismissed all of them in November of 2020 and December. So she did multiple filings, and she was almost going to get away with it, like you said, through the electronic court filing system. But then somebody figured out that maybe she was up to no good. And it was, let's see, I had it here.
It was the forensic examiner. And I'm not sure he figured out she was no good. He was trying to figure out, he or she, I'm not sure which, was trying to figure out why they needed to do an examination because the charges had been dropped.
Yeah. So if
I think he was trying to save some work.
Right. But if he wouldn't have questioned this, what would have happened?
I think we wouldn't know her name.
She would be out of jail. And it wasn't just like dismissing her charges that she was doing. She was doing much more than that, right? Do you remember the part of she had a kid?
She had a custody or guardianship issue with, it sounded like her own child and another family member trying to gain guardianship, which if she was doing some stalking things, there were probably some issues. And then of all the stupid things, one of the charges was an order just to waive fees.
Hey, why not?
She
has
paying
access
a lot
to the system.
Yeah, but it's one of those things like your life costs you more than the crime.
And it's ridiculous because not only, I'm assuming she got charged with I'm sure they brought all the charges back. You know,
I think I read 6 charges.
And meth charges, but they also charged her with false impersonation. Which is, I never heard of that. And let me see.
That's because most of us call it impersonation.
Yeah, I thought that was weird.
But six charges.
Yeah.
And I think those are all 6, I think, are felonies.
Yeah. So that's probably why I can't get a hold of her.
She's probably, she's behind the jail cells.
Yeah, that's true. But, you know, it's so funny because there's, you know, I'm constantly chasing after these people, these pretenders, you know, whether they're con artists or not. And there's like a level, there's like a sweet spot, you know, there's these low-lying criminals that are really, really hard to get a hold of because they don't have a digital presence, you know. It's so much easier if you have a Facebook page or a Twitter page or something like that. And then there's like the real big con artists. They're hard to get to too. So it's that middle layer that they're really proud of their work and they're a lot easier to get a hold of.
But, you know, she just went in there and acted like she knew what she was doing. She's fairly nondescript, so she wasn't bringing attention to herself by being overly wildly dressed or whatever. And she must have had that assuredness that don't ask me questions. I'm here because I know what I'm doing. Exactly. So that's a life lesson, guys. Just pretend like you know what you're doing and nobody will ask questions. Occasionally somebody does, and then you get busted. Yeah. You've talked to some people on your podcast about that. Yeah. It's very unfortunate. I think the sad stories are the people, the victims who sometimes end up, you know, making bad decisions and turning into a con artist. I interviewed one lady who was a victim of a con artist, and her only way out was to con other people out of it. You know, that's incredibly sad. And if there was a custody thing, there's at least one child involved here. Yeah, and so that's gotta be sad too. The ramifications are lifelong. Yeah, I've been fortunate. I've never had a run-in with a con artist. Have you? I have gotten those emails from that Nigerian prince that offers me lots of money. I actually work in a public library, so we're very conscious and aware of things. And there's times we want to say to people, there is no such thing as a free lunch. Do not fax that information when faxes were more popular. Are you a librarian? I am. Public librarian. So you're well-versed in the Dewey Decimal System. More or less. 364 though. True crime.
So that's right. So yeah, exactly. So my first job was at a public library, and I was a library.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I started out as a volunteer. I started out as a reader for many, many years. And yeah, I volunteered for many years. And then all of a sudden, when I was like 35, I realized, oh, this is what I want to do when I grow up. So yeah.
It is such a wonderful place. And I know that it's becoming, it's not as common of a thing for kids these days to go to a library when you have the internet. But it's very unfortunate because it is such a magical place. It's not only because of the books, but because of the people.
But the knowledge, the research abilities, I met some of the coolest people at the library. Yeah. Yeah. The love of learning and research, I think, is incredible. Yeah.
But it's so awesome. I'm so glad that you're a librarian, and I once was at a friend's house and probably had too much to drink that night, and we were like, I should make a podcast about libraries, And
you would be shocked how interesting it really would be. People think we're pretty boring, but we have heard from different places where they hold conferences and workshops and stuff that we're a pretty cool group of people. We're intelligent and we know a lot about a lot of different things.
Oh, man. So let me tell you about the head librarian where I used to work. His name was Bill, and I'm not making this story up. His name was Bill, and he had a best friend named Ted, who was a patron who would come to the library. And Ted was a Vietnam veteran, right? And he was a wild guy. I don't know. He had a very active imagination, but Bill would talk to Ted, and Ted would tell him all kinds of stories that like he was a descendant of Queen Elizabeth, and Queen Elizabeth would meet him outside the library at a bench for lunch. And he was a fighter pilot during Vietnam. And all of a sudden there was a white, bright light, and he woke up and he was in a spaceship and they were doing an experiment. And so it was all these kind of crazy stories. But all these wild characters would come into the library. And one time it got really, really exciting because there was the SWAT team was surrounding the library. There was like a shooter in the library, but we didn't know who it was. So we all had to be hush hush about it. And it was terrifying. I mean, it was always an adventure. Like every day was just
no day is the same. No day is the same.
So anyway, those are my crazy library stories. But,
there's a lot of them out there. But, one of the things that is the best thing about your libraries are we value your confidentiality. So we can't tell a lot of the stories we hear.
That's right. Except for me, because I'm a former employee and forgot about
the research is public records. You never know.
No, but seriously, great work. I love libraries. Even if you have the internet in your pocket, I suggest, you
have to be able to read in order to use the internet.
That's right. And you'd be surprised what you find. It is such an amazing place and so special. And I hope that never goes away. But so
it's not got away yet in all these centuries.
I hope not. Because, newspapers too are struggling and that's such a
very much so
a special thing, I hope they don't go the way of the encyclopedia, but
well, the Encyclopedia Online is a little more accurate than some of the print ones. So because some things change very quickly.
That's right.
Yeah.
But Kate, thank you so much for being my first guest on this
thank you for
bonus YouTube video.
I hope you get a lot of extra or a lot of other guests because it's fun to hear these little stories.
There are so many.
I think she'll come back.
I'm not going to give up on her.
Moxie. I think she'll come back.
That's perseverance, and she has lots of it. And I hope that she could apply herself. You know what? If you could get into the back end system of the courts, I think you could pass the LSAT. Yeah.
We've always said that if you could focus some of this stuff that they're the hackers and these things, people doing evil things, if they could focus that on good.
Just apply yourself,
Yeah.
Think of what you can do, Lisa Landon from New Hampshire. Come on.
Yeah. I would be really interested just at what her educational level and her background was. They didn't give any of that.
You know what?
I think that'd be really interesting.
she's no dummy, because I know I couldn't do it. You know, I wouldn't even know where to start.
I don't think I'd have the courage to think I could get away with it.
I wouldn't even think that was possible.
Yeah. And it's very scary that it is possible.
But it's like phishing and those kind of scams where you approach a situation with a lot of confidence and you just say the right things, and eventually.
And if she'd gotten shut down immediately, she wouldn't have gone further. She didn't get shut down immediately. She was able to make step 2 and 3.
Yep.
I mean, it's still her fault. She was still making the wrong decisions, but yeah.
That's right.
Pretty weird.
At the core, she has the right skills to succeed in life. So
she does. And hopefully she'll get that opportunity.
That's right. Well, Kate, thank you so much. Kate from Wyoming. I got to find some sort of way to get out to Wyoming and see your state.
You do. It's a gorgeous state. It's a gorgeous state. So
yeah. Well, thank you, Kate.
We love tourists.
Yeah, that's right. So we'll have a pretend party festival in Wyoming.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Well, thank you so much.
Thanks, Javier.
We'll talk soon.
All right.